Let's move on to the intransitive verbs. These ones are not very complex. I'm sure you'll get them very fast. Intransitive verbs. The idea or the trick of transitive and intransitive verbs, just know transitive verbs take direct objects. Intransitive verbs, they have indirect object. So yeah, that's the first thing that we write. It will say they act on indirect objects. They act on indirect objects. Now, by acting on indirect object, this one I mean that the action, if I'm having this ball, if I say John kicked the ball, that's direct object. But if I say John kicked to the goalkeeper the ball, that's an indirect object because the action of kicking was done on the ball, then the ball got to the goalkeeper. Not that the action of kicking was done on the goalkeeper, then the ball came to him. No, that doesn't make sense. That's why it becomes our indirect, sorry, that's why it becomes an intransitive verb because of that indirect object. Then we add these verbs are usually followed by a complement. Usually followed by a complement. Now remember in English, a complement is any part of speech that is used to give additional information. In most cases, these complements are usually so complements such as they usually include adjectives or adverbs. Those are the common complements that we have in English. Now, an example. So here we'll have two examples. One, we'll have where we have an indirect object without a complement, and therefore, and the next one we'll have also an indirect object with a complement. So here we'll have, for example, now this one will not have a complement. Uh, see, the the thief, the thief ran like that. So here we have an indirect object. Because one, there is no object itself. So the thief ran. Where did he run? We don't know. But it's still an a complete sentence. Now remember in English, most sentences usually have objects, others do not have objects. So the ones that don't have objects, we say that the object is not inclusive. So here, the thief ran. That's a complete sentence. So yes, we have subject, then we have our in sorry we have our intransitive verb that acts on an action of escaping indirectly because action of running cannot be done on escape. So here we do not have a complement. So here we'll say no complement, no complement. So let's do that. And then there's no complement. But if we say the thief ran fast. Now here we have a complement, and this one is our complement. And if you are keen, fast is an adverb of manner. How did he run? He ran. How did he run? He ran fast. That's a complement. So here we have a complement, which is our adverb of manner to be precise. Fast is our complement. Now, if you check on these two, we have one distinctive thing that is coming out. And this one shows that in most cases, so here we can see that. The above sentences, show that intransitive verbs do not require objects to complete the sense. Do not require objects. Do not require objects to complete the meaning. So, sorry for that. Most intransitive verbs will not have an object, but the ones which have an object, they will still be that this action is not done on them directly. So, here we have an example where previously we had a sentence at the top where we say that John, let's have here John, John scored, John scored, I'd say John scored a goal. No, not really. That is transitive. You can say that John. mhm, John hit. John hit the bird. John hit the bird. Sorry, John. Yes, John hit the bird with a stone. That's a very good one. John hit the bird with a stone. Now, if you're keen, this stone had to be thrown. Okay, before the action of hitting occurred. So if you say John hit the bird, that's okay. But what did he use to hit the bird? He used a stone. So this one, the bird, this one is our direct object because it was hit. Uh-huh. But if we say here that, sorry, if we say that John, John threw, sorry, if we say that John hit, John hit the ball, here is that John hit the ball directly. He was the only one. There's nothing between him and the target. Because for this one, if you eliminate the bird, we can't say John hit a stone. It won't work. But if you say John hit the ball with a stone, it will still make sense. But if and then you say John hit the ball, it will also make sense. So in this manner, it depends with your the way that you perceive it. If you have a direct object, that is a transitive verb. If you have an indirect object, that is an intransitive verb. Uh-huh. Let's do this. John hit the ball. The ball. The ball was hit by John. Okay, so here is one is transitive. 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 Yeah, like that. Now let me add something before we continue. So here we can also say that some verbs are used both as transitive and intransitive verbs. Some verbs are used both as transitive and intransitive verbs. And remember, this usage depends with how you frame your sentence. So you say the usage depends with how you frame your sentence. So here we have e.g. We can say that The plane, the plane flies. Now this one is an intransitive verb because one, it does not have an object in the yapaju. Does not require object here. Then is intransitive, our intransitive verb. But we can also use the same verb in a transitive way by saying that the pilot flies the plane. Let me change the so here we can say the pilot flies the plane, and in that instance this verb flies changes from being used intransitively to being used transitively. Now, for your KCSE, don't worry about them doing this to you, because for them, they will only ask you to identify if it is transitive or if it is not, or if it is intransitive. That's the only thing that they'll do for you. They'll not try and make you change one sentence from one side to the other side. All right. Now, up to there, do we have any question concerning transitive and intransitive verbs? So, Maureen is okay. All of you are okay up to there? Good. Now, let me now go on to the infinitive verbs. This is very simple. And then after that one, I'll give you work on both the transitive verbs and the intransitive verbs and also the infinitives. Oh, and something else. Um, Remember, I promised that we'll be having our weekend lessons. Sorry, weekend lessons on revision of the KCSE papers. So at the end of our lesson today, I think in the group I will send the KCC paper that will be reviewing over the weekend. So for also you too, if you have time, you can go through it and you come to know the questions how they are being said. And then when we'll be in our class, I'll be discussing. Then I tell you what the examiner wanted you to do. And if you have questions, you can